71 years old. In 1969, I was working as a longshoreman in the port of Milwaukee and injured a couple of discs in my spine. And that pretty much was the end of my career as a laborer or a worker. I did engage in that kind of work for a number of years after that. But eventually I became a doctor of chiropractic, and I've been doing that for the last 36 years or so. I think it's interesting that so many members of the Green Party do have a healthcare medical background, because I think we recognize just how sick our society has become, and we want to get involved in healing it, bring it back into a state of health. Whether or not that's even possible at this point is open to question, but you can't just sit down and watch it happen going in the direction that it is. In 1973, my wife at that time and I moved to the state of Arkansas with the hope of just getting away from the city, living a rural lifestyle, having a little garden, a little home, and just kind of be away from it all the noise. It's an interesting thing. You can go out there and you can raise crops and have your own homegrown food and everything, and you're never really independent, and that really came home when we went to can things and found out there were no canning lids available in the entire county. And it just really kind of brings to light how disruptive things can be for you when you're trying to live a wholesome life. You know, you're still dependent on this, whatever the structure is that we've created as human beings. So I got re-engaged. I went into St. Louis and stayed with some friends for a while. I became involved in as a jack of all trades, basically. I was painting houses and building fences and doing a little bit of plumbing, etc. One of the first people I worked for was Barry Commoner. I don't know if many of you remember that name. I actually painted his house in Clayton, Missouri. Interesting interaction. And through him, I met some other people who were involved in the university system in St. Louis. I met a guy who was at Washington University who was from Iran, and he was studying economics in the United States. He had basically fled from Iran to avoid Savak, which was the police of the Shah. You know, that was the repressive force that they had over there. And when he graduated, he took a job at the Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research. So he was back in the Middle East. Then the Shah fell. So he was appointed ambassador to Kuwait from Iran. Then sometime later he became the Minister of Oil for Iran, and it became their turn to chair OPEC. So this guy that I learned to play backgammon from in St. Louis had one of the most powerful positions in the world. It's kind of like a Forrest Gump reality that I've lived in some respects. Some of the things that I'm very concerned with, obviously, is healthcare. The healthcare system we have in the United States is really a misnomer. It's not a system. It's chaotic. The amount of money that we spend for healthcare and the results that we get is terrible. I think we're number 37 in the world, which it's just a drastic catastrophe. Now, I've always been a supporter of universal health care. The thing that's come around lately is Medicare for all, which I think is a good direction to go in. Obviously, if we were going to transition into something like that, the transition would be a huge undertaking, and it would not be without problems. There would be all kinds of administrative details that would need to be worked out. But I think even in its early stages, we would provide better access to health care than what people now have. So I'm very much in support of that. Some of the things that we would need to do, we'd have to have, well some of the things that are going to happen is for instance, medical care as paid for by your automobile insurance would be gone. It would be covered under your regular health policy. That's a big part of your automobile insurance plan right now. So that's a big savings that people don't a lot of times realize will happen for them, because all health care would be included in one package. It would also reduce an awful lot of litigation. I mean, because a lot of the litigation that takes place now after a motor vehicle accident involves the cost of health care.